16-year-old Chloe Barrett silently endured the daily torment at school since her accident. Classmates whispered as she wheeled past, deliberately excluded her from activities, and made lunch period her most dreaded hour. That Tuesday, as cruel laughter filled the cafeteria and tears welled in her eyes, a tall figure appeared at the doorway that made every single person freeze. 8 years can change everything. For Chloe Barrett, they transformed her from a spirited 8-year-old into a withdrawn teenager navigating high school in a wheelchair. Before the accident, she had been known for her contagious laugh and boundless energy. Now at 16, Chloe wheeled through the hallways of Westlake High with her head down, trying to be invisible. An impossible task when your means of movement sets you apart from everyone else. Physical therapy had helped Chloe adapt to life without the use of her legs, but nothing prepared her for the social isolation that awaited her in high school. Groups would visibly shift when she approached, creating a barrier of backs and whispers. In class, the seat beside her remained conspicuously empty unless a teacher specifically assigned someone to work with her. The physical torment started small. Someone would nudge her wheelchair when passing in the hallway, then pretend it was accidental when she nearly collided with lockers. Her books mysteriously vanished from her desk during bathroom breaks, forcing her to ask for help. A humiliation that brought tears to her eyes every time. The group of boys led by Tyler Adams were the worst offenders. Tyler was 6 feet tall, athletic, and from a wealthy home. He never touched Chloe directly. Instead, he orchestrated the torment from a safe distance, giving silent nods of approval to his friends who carried out the actual pranks. At home, the transformation in Chloe was heartbreaking to witness. Her mother, Elizabeth, remembered a daughter who once filled dinner conversations with animated stories about her day. Now Chloe merely pushed food around her plate, answering questions with one-word responses before asking to be excused. Her father, Marcus Barrett, was a prominent figure in the community, the founder of Barrett Development. His commanding presence in boardrooms and at community events contrasted sharply with the gentle way he interacted with Chloe. On a Tuesday morning in October, Marcus noticed something different about Chloe's expression as he dropped her at school. The resignation in her face had deepened into something more troubling, a quiet desperation that haunted him as he watched her wheel herself toward the entrance without looking back. Instead of continuing to his office, Marcus parked his car across the street. He sat there for hours, wrestling with his instincts as a father. Eventually, he made a decision. Using a side entrance typically reserved for maintenance staff, he slipped into the building unnoticed. The lunch period was about to begin, and he wanted to see what happened then. Finding a shadowy corner of the cafeteria, Marcus positioned himself where he could observe without being immediately noticed. The room gradually filled with students within minutes, and then he saw her, his daughter, carefully maneuvering her wheelchair through the maze of tables, balancing a lunch tray across her lap. Chloe found an empty table at the far end of the room. With practiced movements, she positioned herself and set her tray down. For a brief moment, her shoulders relaxed. Then Tyler and his friends approached, laughing among themselves in a way that made Marcus's stomach tighten. Tyler leaned down, his mouth close to Chloe's ear. Whatever he whispered made her shoulders hunch forward as if absorbing a physical blow. Another boy, Brandon, casually spun her wheelchair away from the table, claiming her spot for himself. The sudden movement caused Chloe's lunch tray to topple, spilling milk and food across her lap. Laughter erupted across the cafeteria. Chloe's face crumpled as she tried desperately to clean herself up, tears welling in her eyes but not falling. This broke Marcus's heart. 2 lunch monitors finally noticed the commotion and began making their way toward the scene. But Marcus was faster. He stepped out from the shadows, his 6'4" frame commanding immediate attention as he strode purposefully toward his daughter. The cafeteria fell silent in waves as students noticed his presence. By the time he reached Chloe, you could have heard a pin drop. With gentle hands that belied the fury in his eyes, Marcus knelt beside Chloe's wheelchair and began cleaning the spilled food from her clothes. School staff members froze in recognition. Marcus Barrett was not just any parent, but a major donor to the school. The principal, Dr. Winters, arrived moments later, her face ashen as she took in the scene. Dr. Winters began to speak, her voice slightly trembling. Marcus cut her off, his voice dangerously calm as he instructed her to call security and have Tyler and his friends escorted from the premises immediately. Chloe didn't attend school for days. Panicked calls from the administration to the Barrett household went unanswered. Finally, after a week of Chloe's absence, Marcus agreed to meet with Dr. Winters, but with conditions that he insisted be met without compromise. 2 weeks later, the entire student body was gathered in the auditorium. Whispers and theories circulated among students as they filed in, many noticing the unusual presence of several school board members in the back row. Dr. Winters stepped up to the microphone, her customary warm smile absent. She began by recounting the events that had unfolded in the cafeteria 2 weeks prior, not softening any details. Several students shifted uncomfortably in their seats as their actions or inaction were laid bare in front of everyone. She explained that 8 years ago, Chloe Barrett had been walking home from her elementary school when she noticed a blind girl about to step into the path of oncoming traffic. Without hesitation, Chloe had pushed the girl to safety. But in doing so, she couldn't avoid the speeding car that struck her instead, leaving her permanently paralyzed from the waist down. Gasps filled the auditorium as images appeared on the large screen behind them. Newspaper clippings showing a younger Chloe in a hospital bed, receiving a civilian bravery award from the mayor. Her small face was determined even then, a child coming to terms with the knowledge that her life would never be the same. Then Dr. Winters paused, visibly collecting herself before continuing. Her voice broke slightly as she delivered the revelation that stunned the entire assembly into silence. The blind girl that Chloe had saved, the stranger she had sacrificed her future mobility for, was Dr. Winters' niece. With tears now flowing freely, Dr. Winters turned to Chloe and her father, offering a public apology for failing to protect her at school. She added that someone like Chloe should be honored rather than tormented. Tyler and his friends, seated in the front row as part of their conditions for returning to school, couldn't meet Chloe's eyes. The students who had participated in the torment through their silence and inaction seemed to physically shrink in their seats as Dr. Winters spoke directly to them about the responsibility of bystanders. Dr. Winters then invited Marcus to speak. His imposing figure approached the microphone, and the tension in the room intensified. Many expected anger or threats of legal action, but what he offered instead was something far more powerful. He spoke about his daughter not as a victim, but as a hero whose courage deserved respect. He challenged the students to consider what true strength looked like. Was it tormenting someone vulnerable, or was it sacrificing your own safety to save another? In the days that followed, the empty space beside Chloe in the cafeteria filled with classmates eager to know her, to hear her voice, and to make amends. Tyler eventually approached Chloe with sincere remorse that went beyond obligatory apology. Sometimes the most powerful intervention comes from simply showing up when needed most. And sometimes the most profound heroes are hiding in plain sight, waiting to be seen for who they truly are. Have you ever witnessed someone being mistreated and wished you had the courage to step in? What would you have done in Marcus's place?